There's a lot of misinformation and confusion surrounding the presidential election, so we sent News4JAX consumer investigator Lauren Verno back to high school. She spent the afternoon with a social studies teacher at Middleburg High for a lesson on the Electoral College.
Okay, so Lauren Verno, 9th grader. I started my virtual learning education with 9th and 12th grade social studies teacher Sarah Baker. You know, what are the kids saying to you?
It's so divided.
And as a public high school teacher, Miss Baker is not allowed to have an opinion. Do you think that because you're coming at it with a straight just facts and this is how it works, that they're learning it or wanting to learn it more?
Yes, because I said, listen, we're taking our opinions. Like right now, as a geographer, we cannot have it our opinion. We're going to look at the factual information.
That's where our lesson started.
So we based it all upon maps.
Baker says she teaches the Electoral College using geography. Instead of using just the maps we're all accustomed to seeing, Baker uses this one. Each hexagon represents a state's electoral vote.
New England area, we're used to these tiny little states, and they actually look large because it's based upon population.
And whichever candidate gets 270 electoral votes first wins. So I'm sure by now, at this point of the lesson, you have a student that has asked, well, why don't they have their votes counted yet?
That was a huge thing when we were talking about why people's votes aren't counted. You know, I kind of broke it down to three things. Number one, this is like the most people that have ever voted in an election ever in our nation's history. Number two, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And number three, mail-in ballots are huge this year.
And then you have to take into consideration every state has their own laws of when they can start counting ballots.
Some could count early as the votes came in, could take counts, and others had to wait until actual election day.
But how do we make sure that people aren't just adding ballots in there?
We have to trust into the system. You know, you have to trust into the system that we have done this for years and years and years, and voter fraud has been very minimal. Anytime we've had instances of voter fraud, there's been a small amount, 20 votes or something like that. Nothing like millions of votes or things that would skew our election.
Which moved us into our next conversation. Can you stop counting?
Like if we stopped counting all the people who mailed in their ballots on time and it is taking time to count them, those votes would not count. And we're not allowed in this country to disenfranchise voters.
So let's go over what I learned. Counting ballots takes time. Voter fraud is very rare and every vote should be counted.
Yay! You get an A+. You get an A+ for 9th grade geography today.
Yes. Lauren Verno, Channel 4, the local station.